Hey, ESPN, I'm Jack. I'm the co-founder of Crack.com.
And I'm Miles, a former lobbyist that loves soccer and gets very nervous when I'm pulled over by the police.
And we're the hosts of The Daily Zeitgeist, a daily comedic news podcast that covers politics, pop culture, and we're both big sports fans. I'm actually named after my grandfather, legendary NBA coach Dr. Jack Ramsey.
Oh, well, I'm named after Miles Davis, a legendary heroin addict who is not my grandfather.
It's not a competition. So search The Daily Zeitgeist on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever fine podcasts, or give it away for free.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head the deck. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me your boom.
He is Jalen Rose.
What up, Dow?
I am David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in.
And we are Jalen and Jacoby. What do we do?
We get the people what they want.
We'll always leave you with a dope pod to step to, give you some exclusive content before we go into what we covered on television. One thing that we didn't cover on television, because it felt a little stale to me, but I know that Jalen has some bars to release on LeVar Ball. The news is this. There was last Wednesday, he got a tech and he pulled his team off. Last Friday, they were playing in the same tournament in Las Vegas, sponsored by Adidas, with the same ref who happens to be a female. He got a technical foul by that same ref. He threatened to take his team off the floor, and then the organizers of the tournament got involved, and that ref was escorted from the game. LeVar then had some very choice words for that ref after the game. I did not like the tone of everything that came out of his mouth and everything that happened on that day in that tournament. How do you feel about the events?
I'm not a fan of his behavior because when you're leading young people, which he's done really well at not only putting his sons in a position to be successful at basketball, but the number of young people that he coaches and trains and welcomes them into his house, that's admirable. But at some point when you're in a position of leadership, you have to teach young people how to endure turbulence. And when the official's not giving you the call, that's when you have to bring your team in and say, hey, guys, it's 5 against 7 today. It's 5 against 8 today. We have to still find a way to compete and still find a way to win today's game. That's the life lesson, how to endure when things aren't always going your way. Not necessarily getting upset and then cursing out the official, and then you call it pulling your team off the floor. I call that quitting. Because that's exactly what it is.
You know who I'm going to look at in all of this? I'm going to look at Adidas because it has come out that Adidas was involved. Some Adidas representatives were involved in the decision to remove this ref from the game. I kind of feel if you remove a ref from the game at the behest of one of the coaches, you're then tearing apart the fabric and the authority of the referee position. I know that might sound a little crazy given that this was just an AAU team in Las Vegas between teenagers. But here's the thing, like, the refs are wearing the stripes. They're carrying a whistle. They decide what happens on the floor. If you undermine that authority by allowing the coaches to control what refs are reffing the game, then what's the point of having refs in the first place? It has now come out that that organization that supplies the refs for that tournament has severed their ties with that tournament and Adidas. What do you think about Adidas' decision to remove that ref from the game and replace her, or just go on with other refs?
It was a bad decision, and they're going to continue to feel the effects of that poor decision. The officials have the autonomy in sports the way the police force do in society. And what ends up happening is if you get on their bad side and your dad gets on their bad side, guess what you're going to be doing when you drive to the basket? You're going to be looking for the call. And what ends up happening is you now make them call your son different when he's playing basketball. Both of them, all three of them for that matter, because though the officials on each level stick together. That's a bond, that's a fraternity, and that's a level of autonomy and power that we underestimate. Just think about this. Every time you hear the whistle blown, the team that gets the call, they're happy. The team that the call is against, they're unhappy. No matter where you're playing, no matter what sport it is. So for now, you to put a bullseye on your chest as a coach and on your AAU team on the floor, now this also creates a level of domino effect for your son playing in the NBA.
Does all of this hype and news and headlines and topics and discussion around LeVar Ball feel like a fad? To me, it sort of feels like Paris Hilton did in like 2003, where it just seemed like the world revolved around Paris Hilton for 2 years and everyone tired of it, and then she disappeared. Could you see that happening with LeVar Ball?
I don't see that happening at all because he has a talented son, LaMelo, who just put up big numbers in Summer League.
Poor LiAngelo. I'm rooting for you, LiAngelo.
Tracy McGrady said it the best. They have two in a possible.
That was Tracy's line?
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
I love that one.
And so with that being said, though, here's the thing. He's not going to be a flash in the pan because Lonzo just started his career in the NBA, and he's playing for the Los Angeles Lakers, one of the most storied brands ever. And guess what's going to happen when the season starts? And they start playing. Who do you think they're going to be putting the camera on in the stands?
LeVar Ball. You don't think he'll be at the game, do you?
No.
Oh, he's going to be in the same seat. It's going to be a thing, and the people around him, it's going to be like LeVar's block, and he's going to start chanting. It's going to, like, he has a way of drawing attention to himself, not always by design, oftentimes by design, but he's got a very enigmatic personality. Like, he's loud, and he's big, and he's kind of funny. I get it. But it just seems like the more and more we get exposed to him, some of the underside, some of the dark stuff, like there was an undertone of sexism throughout this entire incident, especially because it was a female referee. He used the term stay in your lane again, which is what he also said to Christine Leahy when he went on Colin Cowherd's show. It just sort of seems like, wait a second, like now you have a catchphrase that you only use for one gender that's kind of disrespectful. He started winning me over when I started hearing stories about him bringing all the neighborhood kids over to his house and feeding them breakfast. But he's starting to lose me with all this, and I'm really, really, really skeptical of LeVar Ball and the way that we celebrate him in sports media. If you call 985-80-JALEN, you can leave us voicemails, and we play them on the show like this.
What up, Jalen and Jacoby? It's Riley from Denver. So, this question is for Jacoby. So, I know you're part of the minivan mafia. My question is, are you willing to defend your fellow minivan mafia when they are consistently horrible drivers? They change lanes without signals. They cut people off. They act like they own the road. I think it's because they're like, hey, I probably got kids on board. Watch out for me. Almost kind of like how motorcycles weave in and out of traffic with no regard, but then act like people are to blame when they get in accidents with motorcycles. Holler back. Peace.
You know what? Riley's in Denver, Colorado, right, Jalen?
Medicinal is legal there.
Recreationally legal there. I'm just going to go out on a limb. I'm going to go out on a limb. I don't know you, Riley. I wasn't in the room when you made this phone call. I'm just going to go way out on a limb and say perhaps there's a small possibility that Riley was high when he left that voicemail.
And here's the other thing I want to make sure we stress, and hopefully this becomes a segment on the show. Riley, if your boss was listening, that counts as a failed drug test.
Definitely counts as a failed drug test. But another thing is I love Riley so much because he asked a 10-second question over the course of like 90 seconds. This is one of my favorite calls we've ever gotten. And another thing I want to say is, Riley, while I did enjoy your delivery, and while I do think that you're a character, I really love the phone call, there will be no minivan blasphemy here on this show. And you know what you're dealing with when you're driving your car? Oh, what music should I listen to? Where am I going? Do I have to look down the GPS? Is Waze going to send me the right way? Do you know what you deal with when you're driving a minivan? I got 2 kids crying in the back. I got 1 kid throwing stuff. 1 kid's unbuckling himself, trying to move the steering wheel. That's why we're not driving well. We got more things to worry about than you do when we're in the car. You know, and there's food all over the place, spilling drinks everywhere. The music's not right, and this one's crying, and that one's crying. I don't know where I'm going. Like, I'm juggling. I'm multitasking when you drive a minivan. So when you see a minivan driver, maybe they're not driving 100%. What you do is you salute them and ask. They just stop. Next time you see them at a stoplight, say, "How can I help you? How can I help you?" There's a lot more going on in the minivan than there is in your sedan. Riley, please don't smoke and drive. Let's listen to the next voicemail.
What up, Dow? It's your boy Al Rao from Dallas, Texas, coming down. So, Jalen, Reg, it's a little cultural. You know what I'm saying? This Jacoby, this might be a don't get fired topic of the day. So I got a question for you, Jacoby, and I want Jalen and Reg to refrain from responding until you give your answer. Do-rag. Do you wear the cape down or do you tie the cape up? Please let me know your thoughts. And if I hear this on the show, I'm going to call back so I can give you my thoughts about how you're supposed to wear the do-rag cape. Because there are some circumstances on which the cape should be worn. So I want to know what your thoughts are, Jacoby, or what you believe to be correct, and then I'm going to call back with...
And we putting it on wax.
One yourself. We out.
Thank you for the call. Appreciate the love. Before you answer, I just have to say this. We obviously truly give the people what they want. Here's why. Not only did he have a question, okay, he designated who should answer the question how.
Yep.
He also designated that he's going to call back
and give his thoughts on our
answer.
thoughts. He wants my thoughts, then he wants you and Reggie to chime in with your thoughts on my thoughts, and then he's going to call back to give his thoughts on your thoughts on my thoughts.
And now, the Don't Get Fired topic of the day.
So Shaquille O'Neal gets a rebound, right? And he takes a dribble towards the opposing basket, right? And then by the time he's about to take his second dribble, he sees the eyes of all the defenders just light up, like, I'm going to get that ball. And he freaks out and gives it up to a guard. That's what I'm doing with this question. You want me to answer how to wear a do-rag? I've never worn a do-rag in my life. I don't know how do-rags work. I just learned that do-rags were for waves. I didn't know what they were for until like a year ago. I'm not do-rag proficient, so how am I going to speak on it? But I give the people what they want, so I'm going to answer. Flap's got to be down. And the only reason I'm saying that is because whenever I play basketball against someone in a do-rag, I really like it the way it looks when the flap flies around everywhere. You know what I mean? It just looks cool. You do a spin move and the flap's following you. The flap might hit your opponent in the face. That is my personal take. But I say this, that you know what? I know where I am ignorant, and I'm ignorant when it comes to do-rag culture because I would never put a do-rag on my head unless it was for a bit for this show that gets canceled.
And my take on this is, I know we've talked a lot about it, but the first time I actually wore a do-rag was like 6 months ago.
Yeah, for real. You're new to the do-rag culture, too.
Like, I'm old enough to remember when cats was rocking when dudes was rocking stocking caps, okay? Pantyhose.
Like actual pantyhose. Like, not like a stocking cap, like a pantyhose on their head.
With the ball on the top, okay? So, with that being said, when you're in private, for me, and you're laying in the bed, flap up. Because I'm not trying to choke myself when I'm in the middle of my sleep.
Didn't know that was
public,
a danger.
When I'm moving around, flap down.
You do do-rag in public, Jalen? Do-rag Jalen walks around the streets?
There has not been a living, breathing person that can say they seen two things. Me get dunked on or me walk around in public with a do-rag.
That's that 5:30 a.m., 5:30 a.m. going to the laundromat or something?
There's no footage of this.
I got to find footage of you getting dunked on. I really do.
I was behind Paul Pierce. Everybody keep going back to that same old video.
You jumped. You jumped and you swiped. You jumped and you swiped.
You could jump and swipe at the free throw line. That don't mean you get dunked on.
You Tinder swiped at it. You Tinder swiped at the ball. Let's listen to one more voicemail.
Don't get fired.
Hey, what's up, fellas? This is Rob from Washington State. I keep telling my son that the Seattle Sonics was a real team, and he doesn't believe me. He's 14 years old. I'm wondering if he will live to see a real team in Seattle, or if all of this stuff I'm hearing is just a bunch of junk. Thanks, and keep giving the people what they want.
Thanks for the call. Appreciate the love. I think Seattle does get a team eventually.
Yep.
And it's not going to be because of NBA expansion. What ends up happening is, as the dollars continue to grow and teams continue to ask for public funding, ultimately what ends up happening is different pieces on the chessboard start to move around. You heard Milwaukee being discussed a few years ago before they tightened up their situation. You see the Golden State Warriors going from Oakland to San Francisco, the Detroit Pistons going from Auburn Hills back into the city of Detroit. You see in-state movement. I will not be surprised if eventually you see out-of-state movement and Seattle will eventually get a team. I thought possibly it will be Steve Ballmer and the Clippers because he clearly has ties to that area, but the Clippers got their deal done, and they're going to be moving in a few years in-state.
The Kings seemed like that was a possibility a few years ago. The Bucks seemed like that was on the table a few years ago. Right now, it seems like Seattle is the negotiation chip that teams will use against their host city to say, oh, well, if you don't give us, this many $100 million for a new stadium, then we'll just go out to Seattle. I think that your son will definitely watch a Seattle professional basketball game. But do you name them the Sonics or do you move on from that?
Sonics.
I think you got to move on. I think Sonics is a corny name anyway. It's corny. Like, what is a Sonic? What is Sonic? What is it?
Sonic the Hedgehog.
No, Sonic is not a hedgehog. That was a great game. I really enjoyed that game on Sega back in 1994. But what is a Sonic?
Super Sonic.
If it's like, hey, I'm playing the Timberwolves, I know what they are. They're mean dogs that run around in the woods and eat things. But what is a Sonic? Like, oh, we're the Sonics. 1, 2, 3 Sonics. Let's go get them. Sonics.
I think it's a play on words, and it's something that the locals will understand because it is something that is relative to the space needle that they have.
Can I mansplain this one? This is called mansplaining. This is what my wife always accused me of doing. I rarely say I don't know. I just kind of make up answers. I believe that there are aeronautics companies in Seattle that build planes like Boeing and whatnot. Again, I'm totally mansplaining here. I believe that is what is in reference to breaking the sonic boom. But that's a dumb one. That's worse than the Utah Jazz. Utah Jazz it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. There's no jazz culture in Utah. I've been to Salt Lake City. It's not like there's jazz clubs everywhere. It's not like there's the great jazz musicians of Utah, the jazz movement of Utah. Like, come on now. Boeing's headquarters are in Seattle. David Jacoby, great poll from me. My wife would be so mad if she found out I got that one right, but she doesn't listen to the podcast. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Let's give the people what they want. If the people want an extremely detailed discussion about a 10-second video from a wedding reception, that is exactly what the people are going to get. You all know what we're talking about. The dance heard round the world. Steph Curry getting down to T. Grizzly, being egged on by Kyrie Irving at Harrison Barnes' wedding. He was mocking LeBron James. Now, we all know LeBron James has seen this. What do you think his honest reaction was when he saw the video?
Big shout to T. Grizzly. Detroit, stand up.
He's blowing up. T. Grizzly's blowing up.
It's our turn right now.
Shout out.
I'm not going to overreact to the video.
I will.
It's just, it should pull people behind the curtain into the modern-day athlete to understand that while you're competing for championships and you're trying to do the best you can to build your brand and all of the things that come with being a professional athlete, a lot of these guys have a kinship with one another. A lot of people don't realize that Steph Curry and LeBron James were actually born in the same Ohio hospital, for whatever that's worth. So we've seen LeBron come out even recently when Steph signed his contract and was like, Steph Curry should get more money. Why do basketball players have salary caps? So these are the type of things when you see Steph and Kyrie initially, it's like, wait a minute, they just played in the finals for 3 straight years. They ain't supposed to be smiling together. They're not supposed to be in the same place at the same time. But again, that's just how it is nowadays. I understand it. I have no problem with it. And again, the video is actually funny. And like the great American philosopher David Jacoby says, you can be mean if you're funny.
And I think after the 3-in-1 cookies and after the Ultimate Warrior t-shirt and those digs that LeBron had for Steph and the rest of the Warriors after he won the championship, I think that he has to charge this to the game, right? Like, is he really upset about this, you think?
I don't think he's upset about it, but here's a different way for him to feel about it. The one thing about being a teammate is that you're supposed to be ride or die. You're not supposed to allow somebody else talk about the weaknesses of your brother. And so if you're LeBron or people that are really close to him, you look at Kyrie like, wait a minute, it's one thing for Steph to be cracking on me. It's another thing for you to be laughing really hard. Like, you really was excited about him clowning me.
Those were belly laughs. He was touching his shoulder. Like, Kyrie wasn't just a bystander and a spectator in this. Kyrie was an active participant in mocking LeBron James. And look, I'm going to read too much into this. I wouldn't do that if someone was mocking you. You know what I mean? Like, I do kind of feel that there's, like, not 100% of LeBron James that feels a certain way about Kyrie's involvement in this, but there's 60% of LeBron James that feels a certain way about Kyrie's involvement in this.
No doubt about it. And how you play it in that situation is you let everybody cook, but you let them know I'm not rolling with that. Y'all got to chill. Y'all got to get off my guy. Like, you have to hopefully, like, distance yourself to the point where we kicking it, we homies, but at the same time, that's my teammate. And I see all of these cameras rolling.
That's another thing. Like, this is 2017, and we are all much more conscious of the way people hold their phones. When someone holds their phone towards you like this, you can pretty much know that they're recording you. And there was multiple people with their phones out holding them just like this at that action. Kyrie Irving, I know it's a little late in the night. I know you're enjoying yourself at a wedding, but I feel like everybody there in today's day and age is cognizant of the fact that this will make the rounds in the sports news media cycle. Even though it's late at a wedding, like, I think Kyrie Irving and Steph Curry both know where this was going to go, don't you?
I do. And big shout and congratulations to Harrison Barnes.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen him and Steph Curry both being productive at the same place at the same time since a very long time.
3 years probably.
Because it wasn't in the NBA Finals.
Nope.
So, again, I understand that everybody's off wax and having fun. But when it is your teammate, and it is your brother, a family member, a mate, while you can have fun, and you definitely should be doing so, you have to find a way to be like, no, y'all got to get off my guy. No, we ain't going to do it like that.
Yeah.
And so, since we didn't see that, and we understand that he's already requested a trade, it lets you continue to understand that he's designated the fact that I don't want to play in Cleveland because I don't want to play with LeBron James anymore.
And every single thing he does, no matter how subtle, even if it's just him singing I'm coming home on a plane back from China, even if it's just him standing next to Steph Curry while Steph Curry mocks LeBron, every single little thing is a message. It's all a message to the Cleveland Cavs organization saying, please trade me. It doesn't seem like he's taking steps to patch this up. I haven't heard anything about reaching out to this person or that person. What I've really heard is Kyrie has gone radio silent on the Cavs, and every time we do see him, he's not saying nice things about LeBron James. But here's one thing I want everybody to notice about this video. We've all been to weddings, and we all know there's different stages in the wedding process. There's the ceremony, there's the dinner, there's the reception, and then there's the late night at the reception when no ties are tied. Steph's got his collar popping outside of the jacket. Like, it definitely seemed like it was a little later in the evening. Do you think any adult beverages were at play?
Absolutely, as there should be. Yeah. And also, the thing about Kyrie, people are going to say, why would he want to leave the Cavs? It's a successful situation. You get a chance to run with LeBron. LeBron's possibly leaving at the end of this year. It's not like he has a lifetime contract. I think Kyrie's just getting in front of the message. Yep. And also what's being acknowledged is that it's one thing to treat me like a little brother. It's another thing to son me. And I think when he felt like it went a little too far in the latter part of that conversation, that's when he felt like, you know what, I've established myself, I want to be out of here. And so, as you acknowledge, he has gone radio silent on the Cavs. The things that we see ultimately seem like indirect messages that's being sent to LeBron and or the team, but he's made it clear. So there is no distinction. There is no gray area. We don't have to look too far into this. He's already came out and said it. I want to be traded.
And if I'm the Cleveland Cavaliers, I'm saying, oh, another thing you made clear is that you committed to playing for this basketball team when you signed the contract. So enjoy training camp here in Cleveland. Harrison Barnes wasn't the only NBA player having nuptials this weekend. Trevor Ariza got married as well. Congratulations to him and his lovely bride. It was also attended by the new NBA duo of Chris Paul and James Harden. There was one detail, though, I wanted to talk to you about. At this wedding, there was at one point when Rick Carlisle was playing the piano, and there was another point where there was a private concert from Travis Scott. Would you be more excited for Carlisle on the keys or Travis getting turned at the wedding?
Travis getting turned at the wedding. And also, here's another thing I want to point out. So initially we were talking about players fraternizing with one another. Just think back to the Houston Rockets when they played against the Dallas Mavs. Those instances have been a little frosty the last couple of years, in particular with Trevor Ariza. So now to see the coach of the Dallas Mavs playing the piano at Trevor Ariza's wedding, it just goes further to what I just initially stated, is that current athletes and or coaches, as we're not talking about, they have a life besides just stressing about the score of the game. These are relationships. People get traded. People play in camps. People have the same agent. People are from the same hometown. You cross paths in a variety of ways. So I'm not surprised that Carlisle was on the piano. I am happy that Chris Paul and James Harden were there to represent. Chris Paul, like, I'm out of the Chris Paul just dissing the Clippers. Can I just say that?
How so?
Because, like, he's making it flagrant, like, I'm gone, and I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, him and James showed up at the Drew League, and the Drew League, you couldn't even get in the neighborhood of the Drew League on Sunday because everybody was there. I don't remember him doing this with DeAndre and Blake. Like, I don't remember him doing this with Doc Rivers. I don't remember him putting on Front Street the relationship that he has with his teammates when he was playing for the Clippers. He hasn't played a single preseason game with the Rockets, yet he's already got, like, a Rockets tattoo on his neck right here.
Correct, and that's where I was going. It's almost like he hasn't even played a minute for their team, but he seems to be more ride or die with that situation than he was with his Clippers situation. And so while he did give his all with that team, and they had some unfortunate injuries that occurred at dubious times, in particular to Blake Griffin, I think that derailed their scenario. It just kind of shows that I was teammates with those guys, but this is my homie right here. So I can't wait to actually see them play ball together in the league because they're going to be on fire this year.
Blue Moon is brewed with Valencia orange peel and a touch of coriander. It's a creative twist on a Belgian-style wheat ale for a taste that shines brighter. Taste responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Jalen Rose in a, quote, friendly, unquote, game between Italy and the Netherlands. New Clipper Danilo Gallinari got into it with the Netherlands' Jito Koch, throwing a punch and fracturing his hand. Is breaking your hand, punching someone in the face, just the Clipper way?
Let's ask Blake Griffin.
It just seems like he was just trying. It's like rookie hazing or something. It's getting jumped into a gang. You just have to break your hand on someone's face before you can play in the Clippers. It's just the way it works.
And here's the thing: a craftsman always protects his tools. I affectionately talk a lot about hold me back because that's actually smart. The first thing you're going to do as a basketball player in punching somebody is what? Injure a finger, injure a knuckle, fracture a hand, break a hand. All bad things. They mess with your opportunity to play. They mess with your money. And more importantly, you just now went from playing with the Denver Nuggets to the Clippers. They finally got a small forward. They lost their point guard. And now you injure your hand. So it's not going to be something that really is going to keep him out for a long time.
It's about 40 days.
But it's really dubious and it's unfortunate.
It is, because the summer is when you get to work out, when you work on your game, and now he's going to be rehabbing a fractured thumb. I just thought it was interesting, the actual interaction between them two, because it was an accidental slip up from the chest to the face from Jito Koch, and then Gallinari took exception and pushed him. Jito Koch pushes back. Then there was like a half swing. It was just sort of like they seemed to be raising each other, and neither of them wanted it, and now Danilo has a broken hand. One wrinkle I really loved about this is the Netherlands' Jito Koch, after the incident, went into the NBA Reddit community and started posting his defense and claiming his innocence, which I absolutely loved, especially with the Reddit community, which we are so strong on. Go to reddit.com/r/Jalen and Jacoby. What do you think about Jito going into Reddit and explaining himself?
He's already getting his case together. That's assault. You know, I'm playing basketball, I'm grappling, getting tangled up with another player, and then all of a sudden he punches me? Lawsuit.
This I found really interesting. The Big Three was expecting player-coach Allen Iverson to be at his game on Sunday in Dallas. Well, guess what? You'll never believe this, Jalen Rose. Iverson wasn't there. They are now launching an investigation as to the whereabouts of the answer, Allen Iverson, on Sunday. What do you think this investigation is going to show?
Who they gonna have oversee the investigation? O.J. Simpson?
No, I think it's going to be Ice Cube. I think the investigation is Ice Cube just texting and calling and texting. How many missed calls and texts do you think Iverson has on his phone right now?
150.
Yeah, he's not replying to any of them. Not even reading them.
First off, it's Ice Cube. Then it's Vic Keebo, Roger Mason, the commissioner of the league, and then the guys you play with.
Yep.
They're trying to figure out, like, what's going on with the game. Is he going to play? Is he going to coach? Do we got to fill his spot? And then lastly, any of the friends or family members that was coming to see you. Like, dog, we came in time. We thought we was going to be able to catch up.
Yeah, we had to sit through 3 other games in 6 hours, and you're not even there. Well, we launched our own investigation here at Jalen Jacoby. Last Sunday, he was in Chicago for his Big 3 game. Last Thursday, he was outside Chicago at a casino, photoed by TMZ with stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks of chips at a roulette table. And then he was a no-show on Sunday. What do you think happened between all of those roulette chips and Sunday?
The thing that stinks about heavily gambling is normally those large stacks of chips, they disappear.
And you know what the casino does? They give you free stuff. Free room, free suite, free dinner. Even if you win or you lose, they're trying to keep you there. It's like Goodfellas. It's like, just keep him there. Keep Iverson there, whatever it takes.
Well, because people don't realize when you're in a casino, you don't see two things, windows or clocks. That's on purpose.
There was a horse named after a segment on this program. We got this tweet, and the tweet said that there was going to be a horse running in Del Mar this weekend named Boss Move. Such an exciting name for this young horse and such an exciting milestone for this young television program. We had some of our staff go down to Del Mar. Big shout to Curtis and Barron. Got in the car, drove down there to see Boss Move perform. Let's see how she did.
And away they go to a good beginning. Ms. Viola very fast, and Ms. Viola will clear the field early. Fly as a Falcon comes through at the rail. Honorable Song is in third. Boss Move is on the far side. Then we come back to Coco Loco Mama in the green colors. 2 back to Honorable Song, and then comes Boss Move. They have a quarter of a mile left to go, and Ms. Viola is going to be the one to beat on the outside. Ms. Viola now gets the advantage. Ms. Viola coming home in full control. Ms. Viola will give Yvonne Roman another one. They win at about 5-6 in the end. Boss Move was second. Fly as a Falcon third, and then Coco Loco Mama.
Ms. Viola cheated. Ms. Viola cheated. I'm launching an investigation into this. We'll kill the Iverson investigation. I feel like Ms. Viola cheated somehow, some way. How proud are you of young Boss Move and her performance on Friday at Del Mar?
I'm very proud of Boss Move. So much so, I'm really happy that we both placed those $100 bets that she would finish in the top 3.
Well,
at 5-1 odds.
Well, what happened is our colleagues misunderstood and thought that we bet on Boss Move to win. So now I have to pay Barron $100. Not a Boss Move. Not a Boss Move. I will be following the career of Boss Move closer than I have any other horse since Mr. Ed. For real. Like, that is just straight up. Like, there is no horse that I love more than Boss Move except for Mr. Ed. Simple as that.
The famous Mr. Ed.
Blue Moon is brewed with Valencia orange peel and a touch of coriander. It's a creative twist on a Belgian-style wheat ale for a taste that shines brighter. Taste responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Jalen Rose, big fight over the weekend. John Jones. TKO Daniel Cormier, with a kick to the head. I know you watched it. I know you liked it. After the fight, he had this to say to Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar. If you want to know what it feels like to get your ass kicked by a guy who weighs 40 pounds less than you, meet me in the octagon.
Jalen Rose, interesting question for you here. Would you rather see Jones fight Brock Lesnar in some sort of spectacle, or would you rather see him fight a more legitimate MMA fighter?
A spectacle.
Why is that?
That's exactly what we're getting from Floyd and McGregor.
Mm-hmm.
It's about increasing the popularity of the sport and maximizing the dollars. And by the way, what he did to Cormier looked like another love TKO. What a way to make a living. Like, just, kick somebody upside of the head and knock them out. That is just crazy. I wish I had that level of skill and talent. That's going to be my new hobby. I got to step my kickboxing game up. With that being said, did you hear the roar of the crowd when he brought up Brock's name?
Yes, I did.
That's where you go. Follow the money, John Bones Jones. And that's exactly why he made that proclamation in the octagon.
I totally understand. I mean, I think that true MMA people and true MMA fans that live the sport, that work out the sport, they've tried it, they really want to see a better fight than Lesnar-Jones. But give the people what they want. You know what I mean? Like, give the people what they want. Follow the money. The money is bringing you towards Lesnar-Jones. Lesnar's already said, okay, let's do it. And it's also one of those things where McGregor-Mayweather, it's like, all right, this is mismatched. But Lesnar is so much heavier than Jones, and Jones is so much more skilled at the sport, that this might be an even fight. Something that I would definitely come out of my pocket and watch. And wait, hold on a second. Jalen Rose, you're going to take up kickboxing before you even get back on the basketball court?
Yeah, it's a great way to stay in shape. I've actually done it a few times. Don't sleep. I got horrible hips, though. My hips are so tight, and I have tendonitis in my knee. And here's the other thing about doing, those type of mixed martial arts sports. It's one thing to actually deliver the blows. I don't want to get them in return. See, that's the problem.
Yeah, I think I would hurt myself just trying to kick somebody in the head for even getting kicked in the head. Like, I'd be like, oh, what happened? You're injured. You're in the hospital. Like, I tried to kick somebody in the head. That's what happened. There he was at Raiders camp, just working out, when he saw a live television studio, a makeshift studio there at camp. What did he do, Mr. Rose?
He got enthusiastic.
He did.
So much so, he went over, put his arm around his former teammate, got really enthusiastic about the female host.
Yes.
And that was unprofessional. So that's a soft move.
It's a soft move. Jalen Rose, I've learned a lot from you. But one thing I've learned from you is you have one very hard and fast rule. What is that?
Don't push up on somebody that's in a relationship with somebody else.
It's a simple rule. It's a simple rule. But not only don't push up, don't be aggressive. Like, don't even let it get into your mind. Don't even think it, let alone don't say it. And there he is, even after she showed the ring, he was still sort of hinting at maybe hanging out later. Come on, Marshawn. That is a soft move. How do you feel about Marshawn's prospects this year in the NFL?
It's going to be interesting because the one thing about being an athlete and then taking time off, it's one thing when you're taking time off and you're still in your prime. It's another thing when you're at this point of his career where he's taking a lot of punishment. And as a physical back, the beast mode that we've grown to love, it's going to be interesting to see if he can endure that level of punishment. The Raiders are going to need a short yard back in particular in the red zone. That can't unlock their offense because they have been really explosive, obviously. I hope his body can endure the punishment. It remains to be seen.
As do I. But that was a soft move, Marshawn. Next, we have someone who often comes up in the soft move or boss move segment. Gentleman by the name of Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade was being joined by a mariachi band singing and dancing La Bamba. Jalen Rose, Dwayne Wade's La Bamba, soft move or boss move?
Boss move.
Ooh, I like it.
And I'm going to tell you why. I appreciate the role. I love power couples. He and Gabrielle are one of my favorites.
We always support power couples here at J&J.
But this is the thing I love the most. He was dancing up on her like a cat daddy. Like, come here. And she move away a little bit. He go a little closer. He go a little closer. I'm like, okay, D-Wade, a little frisky.
I liked how he was basically doing the Running Man challenge. Like, he didn't really have a dance that matched the La Bamba theme, you know? He was just getting into it. You know what? Good for him. Good for him.
I love them.
I think you could button up a couple buttons on that shirt, but that's just me, Dwayne. Next, we have this saga. Buckle up, because this is a saga. There's a television show called Live PD. Live PD is basically cops, but it's live. It's happening right there in the moment. And now we have Clippers rookie Sindarius Thornwell, who was on this program. And let me tell you why he was on this program. He was on this program because his girlfriend was pulled over for speeding. His girlfriend was speeding because she was following Sindarius because I believe she was kicking him out of the house, and he was on his way to another party that she didn't want him to go to. The police officer explained that she had all of his clothes in her back seat while she was following him. This whole scenario, this whole Sindarius, South Carolina live police officer, all of this, soft move or boss move?
Boss move.
Oh, okay. Explain.
Here's the thing. He's a professional athlete. Seen to go to one party and was going to end up at another one. His better half was probably telling him that's enough for the night.
No, she was not letting him go to that party.
To the game.
She was not letting him go to that party.
And so you're not listening to me. So not only am I done dealing with you, I'm about to bring all of your items to the party so I can put them in your car. Have a good night. But don't come back to my crib when you get done. And this is why it's a boss move. Because I would deem, because he's a professional athlete, he's probably the breadwinner in his situation, and she wasn't even tripping off of that.
No, she wasn't. Here's one thing I loved about it, though, is the police officer was like, first of all, I've seen people do this to you, too. They're like, oh, I know you from somewhere. Where do you work? And he was like, I don't have a job. He's like, I don't have a job. And he's wearing an L.A. Clippers team-issued T-shirt. And then, if you look at it closely, while he's talking to the police officer, after he said he doesn't have a job, he starts leaning against the car in a manner in which he's obviously trying to hide the Clippers T-shirt. And he sees the camera and everything. It was just great. It was just great. Somewhere he was just like, I cannot believe this. I'm on television right now. Like, I don't know how that's legal. He's like, I didn't sign a release form. I didn't get arrested. I wasn't even hit with a speeding ticket. How is this happening to me right now? And you know that he and his lady had a long conversation the next time they got together. Boss move. Shout out to you, Sindarius Thornwell. I'm rooting for you next year in the Clippers.
Shout out.
Now, next, of course, we cannot get through a day without talking about LeVar Ball. But now we're talking about Shaquille O'Neal coming out with a pretty good diss track about LeVar Ball. Like, Shaquille O'Neal put time and effort into this. He put a lot more time and effort into this diss track than he did that freestyle about Kobe Bryant back in the day.
Talking loud, I don't understand. Walk around like they the true big baller. Damn, how you think that? I'm about to spit facts. I walk in Reebok in 92, I came out with them shacks. I've been doing this a long time. When you was averaging 2 points, riding a pine. You see my t-shirts, you see my feet work. Big baller brand, that was me first. How many parades did
Recording a professionally produced diss track about LeVar Ball. Soft move or boss move?
Boss move.
Oh, okay. Why is that?
Shaq has been consistent, not only clearly being a Hall of Fame player and now a broadcaster, but at his love for rap music. And I can't front. One of my favorite Biggie lines was done on the Shaq song, Condos with Elevators in them. And so for him to continue to be in love with the art of music and DJing, and this is the first person that he's done a diss song for. I remember him doing a diss freestyle on Kobe Bryant.
Yep.
Tell me how something tastes. And he continued to say it over and over again.
I think he did so bad on that one. He was like, let me put some time and effort into this one. I'm not just going to freestyle this one. And Shaquille O'Neal, as a rapper, is pretty good, and I'll tell you why. He knows his limitations. You know what I mean? He's like, I'm not trying to record an Illmatic Nas. This is my opus. I'm on every track by myself. He got Biggie on a track. He's got the track with the Fooshnickens, of course, Shaq Fu. He's got RZA on a track, no hooks. Like, every single track on his album had someone who was much better at rhyming than he was, that made the album a pretty good listen. Shout to Shaq. Boss move.
And he went platinum.
Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah. There's not too many NBA players that can say they have a platinum selling album. Next, LeBron's quote-unquote stepfather, Lambo, is still in the news. He's still out here on Instagram trying to quote-unquote expose LeBron. But this time in the caption, he did that thing where he added all these different media outlets. He added Wendy Williams. He added The Shade Room. He added Baller Alert. And he added Oprah Winfrey. Trying to get Oprah Winfrey involved when you're trying to expose LeBron. Soft move or boss move?
Soft move.
Soft move. Oprah's not having that.
She looked down at the message like, I'm definitely not dealing with him.
She's like, look at this grammar. She's just like, look at the grammar on this. All these capitalizations and no commas. She's like, I'm not having him on the show. I don't even have a show. You know what? I get the Wendy Williams and the other outlets, but I don't even know why he's even going after Oprah. Like, come on, Lambo. Like Shaquille O'Neal, you need to know your limitations. Oprah's not having you on the show. You know what I mean? She's having Barack Obama in for an interview. That's it. Like, Oprah's got a very short list of people that she would like to interview and shows that she would like to come on. Oprah, we have a very tight guest list on this program, Jalen Jacoby. We would happily consider you coming on the show at some point. We'd consider it if you're interested.
Shout out.
Remember that collectors convention that Bill Simmons was at last week?
Sports nerds, collection.
I've been there many times. I had a great time. No shots at the convention or the people that go there. I've really enjoyed it. But it is kind of a nerdy environment. Even the people that go there have to admit that. Well, Alex Rodriguez was there. He was charging people money to sign stuff. It's something that happens a lot when you're a big-name athlete. Out from behind the curtain that he was in front of comes Alex Rodriguez's better half, Jennifer Lopez. She sat next to him. She took some pictures. She sort of like hung out, and it became a bit of a frenzy. Being upstaged at your own signing by your significant other because she's more famous. Soft move or boss move?
You're looking at this all wrong.
Am I?
This is 150% a boss move.
Yes.
And the reason why it's a boss move is she was there to support him.
It's also a boss move because we support power couples.
No question about it.
What's better than one big star? Two big stars. What's better than one billionaire? Two billionaires. Exactly. This is far and away my favorite topic of the day, Jalen Rose. Buckle up. This also takes some explaining. Are you familiar with the franchise Outback Steakhouse?
I am.
They are an Australian-themed chained restaurant steakhouse. Well, Twitter has figured out what they are up to. If you look at the Outback Steakhouse locations in many American metropolitan areas, there is a very disturbing pattern. The locations all form a star around the outside of the city. Clearly, not just me, but people on Twitter that have noticed this have put two and two together and figured out that Outback Steakhouse is the Trojan horse through which the Illuminati is planting their seeds here on domestic soil. It could be involved with the kangaroo apocalypse. We have not tied the two together. This got so much steam online that Outback Steakhouse had to come out with a statement denying that they were, in fact, planning some sort of global takeover through Blooming Onions. Jalen Rose, denying that you are part of a nefarious plan to take over the world as a franchise restaurant. Soft move or boss move?
Boss move. You messing with my money sending out these tweets. All of a sudden, I wake up one day, people got connecting stars. I got 100 restaurants. Can I live?
Yeah, this is a multi-billion-dollar operation. You know what it is? We can't afford to be in the middle of town. That's what this is. When I looked at it, I was like, you know what? This just means they can't be downtown. Like right in the prime property, they don't have the Australian steakhouse market isn't there in the prime area. We're just going to hit the surrounding parts of the city. That is where we make our money. I do believe this could be tied to the kangaroo apocalypse. We will look into that, and we will continue the investigation into Allen Iverson.
So sinister.
Jalen Rose, on this show, we give the people what they want. Part of giving the people what they want is taking questions from the people. We open up our Twitter feed, we go into our subreddit, and we listen to our voicemails. Remember, if you call 985-80-JALEN, you can leave us a voicemail. We'll play it on the show. But first, we're going to our Twitter feed. We have, our Reddit. In our subreddit, 41 has this question. Is there ever an off-season for GMs and other front office people? Do good GMs ever take vacations? It seems like they're dealing with free agents, trades, or scouting for the draft all year round. Jalen Rose, do front office people take vacations?
Not at all. Literally, it's no days off, and you just described why. Let's just take the professional ranks for an example. Training camp, and people start working out literally late in September. You start playing in October. The season's moved up 2 weeks. So now you're playing really from October 15th. The championship happens at the end of June. Right after the end of June, right after the finals, it's the draft. Right after the draft, it's free agency. Then it's summer league. then you're right back at it. So you're constantly evaluating players, and more importantly, hopefully, you're constantly trying to improve your team.
I have two caveats to that. Number one, if your team isn't in the playoffs, that's when you take vacation right there, okay? Lottery teams take vacation when everybody else is playing. Number two, the resort has Wi-Fi. You know what I mean? Like, the resort has Wi-Fi. Like, sure, I can still look at my videos and scout players and answer emails and take phone calls from the beach while I am sipping on a delicious adult beverage and eating a club sandwich. Next, we're going to Twitter. Bodini wants to know, if the Fab Five were in the Big Three right now, how good would you be?
I want to give props to the current players in the Big Three by saying probably not very good at all.
That's what I was thinking.
Number one, we all in our 40s.
All kinds of braces on elbows and knees. A lot of stretching before the game. A lot of icy hot.
And people wonder why, when I had the opportunity to play, I didn't want to play. I would have been hanging out with AI. They're like, where's Jalen at?
Jalen, yeah. We can get Jalen to show up for this show, let alone a Big Three game where he's not even going to put up buckets and not going to play any defense. Please, you would be there at the first one. You would definitely be there at the first one. You would go 4 for 10 from the field, complain about the rules, and then you would fake an injury and then miss all the rest of the season. That's what would happen. I know that's what would happen.
Correct. Definitely, I would have to say Ray and Jimmy would be the best players because they're both current high school level coaches. And then I'll say Jawan because he's clearly working out and coaching with the Miami Heat every day.
And you and Chris would be great at doing commentary. Next, we're going to open up our voicemail, 985-80-JALEN. That's our number. Call it, leave a voicemail. We play it on the show just like this.
Hello, Jalen Jacoby. Good morning from Sydney, Australia. I think I'm probably one of about 5 Denver Nuggets fans that live in Australia. I'm trying to get the name Millsap Rocky as a nickname for Paul Millsap off the ground. I wonder if you can give me a hand with that by shouting that on the radio. He's Mr. Colorado. It's the Rockies. Millsap Rocky. It's the perfect nickname. Help me out. Thanks, guys.
Brilliant. Oh, see, I can see your face. See, my wife has this problem, too. Don't understand accents. Like, you're one of those dudes that needs to put the captions on if people are speaking in another accent. I know that. Millsap Rocky, Paul Millsap, in the Rocky Mountains, ASAP Rocky. This is a brilliant nickname. This definitely needs to catch on. I wholeheartedly support it, even if Jalen Rose doesn't understand it.
I'm not mad at it.
I like it.
And we gave him a chance to come on the program and put it out there. We just repeated it. So if it's going to catch on, this is the program to debut it.
I will never call him Paul Millsap again for our Australian fans. Millsap Rocky it is. Next, we're going to our Twitter. Soft move or boss move, naming your pets after professional athletes. This gentleman put a picture of his adorable pugs, and he named them the Splash Sisters. I'm going to go soft move for this because what are their individual names? Is one named Splash and one named Sisters? You know what I mean? Like if one is doing something wrong, what do you say? Splash Sister A, Splash Sister B. Like I kind of feel like they're actually named like Sarah and Susan, but he just kind of make a joke and call them the Splash Sisters. Your thoughts?
Correct. I was about to go there. I don't think he's truly being forthright. He probably refers to them as the Splash Sisters, but in theory, if it's 2 of them, that can't be their name.
Like, I refer to my twin girls as the Shining Twins, but I don't call them Shining Twin A and Shining Twin B. You know what I mean?
But I have to say, it's a boss move because I've done it before. I really did. Had a South African Borbal, named them Cassius.
Oh, that's the best. Jalen Rose, have you ever seen The Shining?
I have. When Jack's feverishly trying to get inside the door.
We'll be back tomorrow, Jalen and Jacoby, on ESPN2 at 2 p.m. Unless some executives watch today and decide that we're canceled. It's always on the table. Always on the table. We'll be back tomorrow, hopefully.